Hello, family. Today we want to look at a very practical topic that is adaptation and assessing resources. As immigrants in a foreign country, the question is how do we adapt and what are some of the skills that we need to put in place to help us thrive in this country? And how do we go about assessing resources? These are all important questions that we need to consider, especially if you and I can thrive well and be well suited for our new home country. Our ability to assess resources and adapt well helps us mentally, physically, emotionally, and psychologically. We can become better people if we learn to adapt well and assess resources. The process is not easy. It can be very frustrating. So, what are some of the things that we can put in place, or some skills that we need to have that can help us to thrive in our new home country? Regardless of your immigration status, for instance, let's say you came in on an F1 visa or F2 visa or an H1B visa, a green card, or as a visitor, which is a short-term thing, but meaning you have to go back home again. So regardless of your immigration status, how you came in, there are some basic skills that you need to learn and you need to have to help you adapt and be well suited for this new environment. And that's your new home country. So, what are some of those things that you need to know and need to do so that you can live, thrive, and triumph in this home country? I'm going to be discussing this under five main broad topics. The first one is going to be embracing change. The second one is flexibility. The third is resiliency. The fourth is positive thinking or mindset. And the last one is going to be assessing resources. Let's jump right into it. When we talk about embracing change, it is crucial as an immigrant to realize that there are so many cultural differences in your new home country when you compare it to your previous country. Your new home country, which is the foreign country, has its own unique cultures from where you're coming from. There are some cultures you don't want to throw away from your home country, but it's important for you to understand that there are culture differences. Even in the United States, the various different states have unique cultural, traits about that. So every state has its own unique way of doing things. So as an immigrant, you have to look at what are the culture differences. How do they do things different from the way we did them? And you have to embrace some of those changes. For instance, the way people say hi. Culturally, in some African countries or West African countries, if you say hi with your left hand is disrespectful, but in America, saying hi and raising your left hand is not disrespectful. So you have to be open-minded to little culture changes and embracing the changes. Some cultures are more secluded, is just me and you, or other cultures are more community living way. You live with a community, you do everything with a community. If you are living in America, it's different. Some places may embrace both the communal living and the individual living, and you have to understand those differences. If you are a parent raising your children here, they are being taught one thing at school, and your cultural background tells you something different. So you have to be open-minded to blend the cultures and also help the child to understand why certain things in the American culture may not necessarily be a good fit, and why certain things in maybe the Ghanaian culture or the African, culture may not also be a good fit. So embrace changes. Even environmentally, it snows in some states. It doesn't snow in some states. The weather is warmer in some states and not so warmer in other states. Embrace the changes. Put structures in place to help you to embrace those changes. The second one we want to look at is flexibility. When we talk about flexibility, we are saying that have a mindset to stretch yourself a little bit. Don't have a fixed mindset. What are some of the skills that you need to stretch yourself to adapt? For example, learning how to drive can be an asset to you when you learn it sooner. If you are on F1 visa, F2 visa, stay home mom on the green card, again, regardless of your immigration status, these skills are common to all of us. Learning how to drive, learning how to cook can save you a lot of money. Prepping your food ahead of time, putting it in the fridge can help you save a lot. If you are a stay-at-home mom or you know how to sew, you can get a sewing machine. If you have clothes that need little alterations here and there, don't throw them out. You can sew them together. You can use needle, you can use thread, or you can buy yourself a sewing machine. That can help you save some money, and also that can help you, stretch yourself a little bit beyond your ability to learn something new. If you're a woman, if you know how to do hair, I don't know about you, but sometimes it can cost to the tune of $200 or even more doing your hair. And if you have to come out of pocket every 6 weeks or 8 weeks to do your hair, you might end up breaking the bank. So learning some simple trades, learning how to do your own hair, learning how to do your own alterations on your clothes, simple things like that, it will help you a lot. If you are on F1 visa and you came in as a GA or a TA, you may be earning some stipends, which is good. One thing you want to know is that when you are a teaching assistant, the way you pronounce things, your pronunciation may be different from, that of the American English. So it's important to improve upon your communication skills. And this can go for all of us, regardless of your immigration status. Improving upon your communication skills. If there is a word that you don't understand, you can use Google and type in, how do you say this word in American English? Put the word in there, it will spit out some pronunciation. You can practice. If you are a T or a GA, the worst thing that can happen is you are teaching your class, your student are not understanding you, and you are trying to explain. It can create frustration, and you can be frustrated and discouraged. So use the skills, that are available to you to improve upon yourself, to help you adapt successfully. Apart from improving your communication skills, you also want to improve your reading ability or reading level. Um, Culturally, this society teaches children how to read. Right from kindergarten, they try to incorporate reading activities, typing activities, and stuff like that into the educational system. By the time they are in middle school, high school, they have a certain level of reading ability. It may not necessarily be so from the background we come from. So if you come in as international student, if you come in on F2 visa, if you come in on H1B visa or on a green card, it's important to improve upon your reading abilities as well. Let's say you're a stay-at-home mom, and in a time being, you're wondering, what can I do? Google has free certification programs. You can look at those certification programs, practice those, do those to help you stimulate yourself intellectually. Let's say you have kiddos at home. You can utilize the libraries. The library usually have maybe story time, certain time of the day. You can go to the library with your kiddo, participate and volunteer. While you are waiting for something to change for you, you can also incorporate like skills building, social building, like taking your children out to the park, to church, going to the mall, going to the library, making sure that you are socializing yourself. It will help you to adapt. Unfortunately, many people come in on the F2 visa and maybe they have not transitioned yet to a place where they can either work or go to school and they are at home most of the time. They can get very discouraged, isolated, and sometimes even clinically sad. So it's important for you to get yourself out of the house, do something, socialize, and that way you also help to improve and build upon your skills. If you are on an F1 visa, you want to utilize the resources on campus. Are there apartments closest to campus so you don't have to drive or ride a bike? If not, can you share an apartment with somebody to reduce the cost? In your department, can you try to form a support network to help you get through, especially the first semester? The first semester is usually a killer. So if you can have some support to help you get through at least the first semester until you are well situated in your course or department and you know your way around. It's very important that you ask questions. Don't ever assume. Whatever struggles or situations you're struggling with, the answer is usually out there. But if you don't ask, you won't know. So make asking questions a habit. Don't hesitate to ask people if you don't know. It helps you to adapt and be well situated. Okay, let's move on to the third broad category, which is resilience. When we talk about resilience, we are saying that your ability to bounce back after, something unpleasant happens or stretching yourself beyond your baseline of abilities. There is a lot of challenges when it comes to adapting in a new environment, in your new home country. Things may not necessarily go the way you want it, but your ability to be resilient, your ability to harness the resources around you, to bounce back after things that happen, you may not be happy, you may be sad, but it's important to bounce back. Don't give up. Find a way around it. Talk to people. If an unpleasant event happened and you feel like, you were disappointed or you felt ashamed or, it didn't go the way you liked it, don't give up. All of us started at some point like that. It gets better. So don't give up. Use all the resources you have and be resilient through it all. Look at how it's going to benefit you after you've gone through it. So resiliency is an important key in your adaptation process. You may wake up one morning and feel like, I cannot go on. I'm tired. I want to go back to my home country. All these thoughts are normal and they are part of the adaptation process. But don't give in, don't give up. Reach out to people, use the resources around you, use some of these strategies that we're talking about to move on. Okay, positive thinking or positive mindset. It goes hand in hand with resiliency. If you don't have a positive mindset, you cannot be resilient. And if you're not resilient, you can easily give up. So, positive mindset, whenever you have challenges, for instance, if you are TA or GA, you are teaching and things are not going well, have a positive mindset. How do you go around this? What can you do? Who can you reach out to? So that you can be resilient in what you are doing. Think positive. For most of us, if you are a Christian, turn to God, pray about it. Spiritual resiliency. Use spiritual resources. Talk to the people around you. Talk to people who are ahead of you, who are in the same program, who have completed the program before you, and they can help guide you through. There are so many resources. I don't want to go ahead of myself, but if you are a TA or GA and you want to supplement your income, there are so many endowment scholarships you can also look into. Um, and if you are a stay-at-home mom on F2 visas, resources in this case are a little bit limited, except if you are, let's say, pregnant, then you can have some limited resources through the Department of Human Services. And I'm going to talk about that under assessing resources. Okay, so positive mindset is very important because if you don't have a positive mindset, it's going to affect you mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So it may sound cocky, but having a positive mindset is very important. Last but not the least, assessing resources. If you are F1, F2, if you have green card, you have so much more ability to assess resources than people who are on F1 and F2. So let's say if you're on F1, how do you supplement, your food? There are food pantries on campuses. There are some churches that, have food pantries. You can use the food bank in your community, your local community, and those are ways and means that you can supplement your income in terms of getting some free food as well. If you're a stay-at-home mom, those are also avenues for you can utilize. In addition to that, let's say if you are pregnant or you came pregnant, you can access some resources through DHS. You can be eligible for some short-term Medicaid through your pregnancy. You can be eligible for WIC. WIC is Mother and Child Food Program. You can get some benefit through that as well. If your children are born here, they have the ability to get their Social Security card. You can get some benefit. If you are on an F1 visa and you have small children and they are citizens, you can get help through the Department of Human Services, DHS for short, with some help with daycare, and they can help you with that. If you have a kiddo who has educational needs and struggling, let's say, with your speech, there are so many resources in the educational system in your school district that can help with that. They would assess the child's speech level and they can help put early intervention to help that child. If it's math ability or inattention deficit or hyperactiveness, don't hesitate. Once you start getting feedback from the teachers, ask them for help and support. Don't hesitate to ask for help. Remember, I said earlier that your ability to ask questions and ask for help is important. So don't hesitate to ask for help. There are answers out there, but if you don't ask, you won't know. So ask for help. Medicaid, Medicare, medical insurance. If you came in on an F1 visa, if you're GA, TA, the school sometimes will give you health insurance, which of course you have to pay for some, form or shape. But you do have health insurance through the school. If you have a spouse, you can put your spouse on your health insurance, but with an additional fee. Let's say you came in, you graduated, in the interim, you don't have insurance, you need medical support. What do? There are community clinics in most cities that are run by nurse practitioners and nurses who are still in school and trying to finish up. You can utilize those community clinics. Some states and cities also have mobile clinics. You can utilize those as well. Some nonprofit organizations can do sliding scale, meaning that how much you pay is dependent on how much income you make. So you can utilize those clinics as well. And please, if you need medical support, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Go to the nearest clinic around you, the nearest clinic to you. They will take care of you, and you can make a payment arrangement with them, even if it's like $10 a month. The most important thing is that you're making some payment towards your bill. So if you need medical help, don't wait. Try and get help. It's better to be safe, healthy, than sorry. So don't look at the financial challenges and neglect your health. If you are TA, if you're GA, you're getting stipends, you have insurance. Sometimes some of the insurance will also include dental benefit as well. So please don't forget to utilize those. If you don't use it, you just pay and it goes waste. So utilize those. Some cultures may not necessarily, have the culture and the habit of visiting like the dentist every 4 months or so, or 3 months or so, and going to the doctor annually. But if you have insurance, please utilize it to take care of yourself holistically. Okay. So it's important to understand everything that we talked about, the culture, the resources. How do I qualify? How don't I qualify? Um, most states at the federal level, they use the federal poverty line or income, line or guidelines to help determine who can benefit from what. And DHS also uses the federal poverty guidelines to determine who benefits or who can qualify for what resource. So eligibility is dependent on your income. And the federal income guideline is what they use to determine who is eligible for what. So if you are seeking to apply for any benefit, and this goes for the green card holders or, families who have kids who are born here, if you are wondering, can I qualify for this or can I qualify for that? First of all, look at the federal poverty income guidelines, and it will give you a fair idea of, where your household income bracket is. And it will also help you to clarify some things. Apart from the federal poverty income guideline, DHS also uses their own criteria for eligibility. For instance, there are some benefits that would open up the eligibility to maybe 10% above the poverty line, or 15% or 20% above the poverty line to help people qualify, or 10% below the poverty line. It can go either way. So just use the federal poverty income guideline as a yardstick of, where am I and what can I benefit or what can I be eligible for. before you try to apply for a benefit. And this goes mainly to those with green card holders who can get benefit through DHS and those who have children who were born here. So assessing resources, it's important to know what can I qualify for. One other thing is that if you want to apply for credit card, you want to understand that there are different types of credit cards. There are those that are mainly geared towards traveling, and there are those that are mainly geared towards like cashback reward system. If the card is geared towards traveling, you might end up getting points and not cash back. So pay attention to what type of credit card you are applying for. The credit card, once you get it, it is not free money. Your credit worthiness is determined by your credit utilization rate. Most credit card companies or most banks would encourage you to use the money, but pay attention to the end of your billing cycle. You want to pay back the money on the card before the end of your billing cycle date. For example, if your billing cycle end date is on the 18th and you use about 50% of what you have been given, let's say you apply for credit card the first time, you were given $500 and you use $250, you want to pay that $250 back on the card before your billing cycle ends, which is maybe the 18th. The reason is that if you don't pay it back, it means that your credit utilization rate, which is how much money you use on the card versus how much balance you have or what you have been allowed to use, that's the ratio. If it's beyond 30%, it means that your utilization rate is so high. And that is going to have a negative effect on how you are rated. It means that you are not using the money wisely. Best practice, pay back what you use before your billing cycle ends. And always pay attention if you want a higher credit score or if you want to boost your credit score, let me put it that way, make sure that your utilization ratio is not more than 10%. 10%. And the best utilization ratios are usually less than 5%. So the money is not your money. Use it, but put it back on the card before your billing cycle ends if you want to improve upon your credit score. All right. If you have any question, don't hesitate. You can get in touch. And I will do my best to also put some things together, help you out, or send you to the right resources. These is just a gist of, some skills that we can employ, some strategies we can utilize to adapt. However, if there's a specific question beyond my knowledge and ability, I will try my best to point you to the right people so you can get some answers. All right. Thank you and stay blessed. Bye.